Good morning, Buck fans. This is the Bucs Report pregame show. We're going to be discussing the Bucs at the Titans. The game kicks off in 2 hours, so sit back. We got a special guest coming in just to discuss the outcome of the game and what it could mean if the Bucs win or lose. So let's get ready for another great show.
We did practice well. They practiced hard. Everything looked like it clicked in practice this week. We had 3 good days of practice. He had a good week of practice. He had a good couple weeks. He's practicing good. We like the way he comes to practice every day. We'll have a good practice tomorrow. He's been practicing great. He's 2 weeks in a row.
And that's exactly how us Buck fans have been feeling for the past few weeks, ever since we've been hearing about practices and how someone's good, how it's no one's fault. Yeah, we're tired of that. But again, good morning, Buck fans, and welcome to Bucs Report pregame show. It's your boy AJ Turn Up. I'm just in here, today this is just an observation game. This is what we're gonna see, what this Bucs team is made of. Not just by the players, but by the coaching staff, because we're bleeding. The Buccaneers are bleeding bad. It is looking bleak. It is looking hopeless. It's looking to the point as we are already going to begin looking at the draft picks. I've been seeing across my board already, especially on X and Twitter, that a lot of Buck fans are really invested in looking in the college games. Now, I've always looked at college games, of course, as well, but Buck fans we're literally going back to the dark age days where we're looking at college players to see we're more invested in college than the damn Bucks, because we want to see who could we bring to the organization that can get this franchise back, because I'm with you guys right now. It is a very frustrating moment, because 3-1. We all remember it like it was yesterday. I can tell you that. I remembered when we beat the Saints. First off, I want to say I knew that the Bucs would beat the Vikings. I knew the Buccaneers would beat the Bears. The Saints, I wasn't too sure about. The Eagles, I thought we could take them because they were struggling. But my point is, the 3-1 did not shock me. I was actually very impressed because they were doing things the way that they needed to do. Now, was the offense a little sluggish and slow? Yes, they were, but the defense was still very dominant. It is just, unfortunately, in my opinion, where things went wrong for this team is that Eagles game. That Eagles game should have told Canales that he has to adjust on offense. That game should have told Canales that you don't have the running. Now, I get it. That was against a good team, and it's different from playing a bad team. But either way, if you're even unable to establish something, then you have to adjust and do what's best for your team, which is the passing game. The Bucs are a better passing team. The line is designed to be a better pass protection. Rick Hughes has said this very best from the Bucs Live, which you should always check out on Tuesdays, that he already told people that this line was designed to protect Brady, because Brady is not, as we know, he was never a scrambler, so he was a pocket quarterback. Now, with that being said, the Bucs have the receivers and the line to make this offense lethal. I keep telling everybody, Baker Mayfield is not the problem. Do you understand that, Buck fans? Baker Mayfield is not the issue. Baker Mayfield is not sorry. Baker Mayfield is doing exactly what he is told and how the plays are designed. Remember last season, we were frustrated, yes, Was Brady messing up really bad? Absolutely. But look at what he was working with under Byron. Canales is giving us Byron energy, and that's why we're frustrated and pissed. Like I said, go back to that Eagles game. It told you a lot on how the Bucs were and how we were a team that's good enough to beat a really bad team or hang in there. And then when we play a good team, our skills go out the window. Bucs with Baker, Canales has got to utilize the strengths of his offense and his players and not just the strength of the scheme. I saw a video article just the other day where they were talking about that Mahomes, when he first got in, he didn't know what a Mike linebacker was or certain coverages. And another player was saying how they didn't know what cover 6 was. They just looked, one of the things, they went back to the basics of, let me look at the abilities of the opponent I'm going against. If this guy is too slow, I'm going to put someone with speed over him so he can get separation. If this defender is weak, I'm going to have someone strong block him to get him out of the way. See, that is something that a lot of coaches do not like to assess anymore, which I don't understand. That is the basics of competition. It's always about knowing what physical attributes do I have over the opponent. It's not always about the technique. Is, yes, you always want the scheme and technique and things, but it won't mean anything if the guy is too strong or too fast. You have to understand that, and that is why. And look at Mahomes. That's why he is so great, because Mahomes' skills are so good that he knew when to make things happen, because he saw things on the field that sometimes you can't teach. You have to just, you can have a game plan very well, like planned out. It could be damn near flawless, but it only will be flawless if your players can implement it. If they can't, it's useless. And that is the issue with the Bucs. And this is why I would love to be in that office and ask Canales, is this your philosophy really, or is this Bowles? Because this has Bowles written all over it. Bowles, of course, is a defensive coach. He has a defensive mentality. So Bowles would love to just have the offense be a run first team and the defense be nasty. But the issue is, you don't have on offense, you don't have the line that can be used for running. I just mentioned they're better suited for the pass. You don't have the running backs that you would need to make that happen. That you would need a Derrick Henry like running back, or a Nick Chubb running back, a north and south strong hard guy that knows how to hit the holes and doesn't need to rely on the offensive line. Rashad White's gift is being a receiving running back, and nothing's wrong with that. That's why we need to utilize it. So this is what frustrates me and pisses me off with Canales and Bowles. You're sitting back trying to think, oh, well, if we just continue it, that's not necessarily always true. Sometimes coaches get in their own way with their philosophy. Damn it, if you have Mike Evans, you have Chris Godwin, you have two high caliber receivers, why are you not using them? Why are you not targeting them? Has it occurred to you that if you start to get them more into the game earlier, then your second tier guys can step up? Palmer has an elite speed. Why are we not using that to the full advantage? Not just deep post, but let Baker. One thing that Baker can do that I think that a lot of people are not realizing, he's an improvising quarterback. He's not your typical in the pocket guy. First of all, he doesn't have the height to do that, which is why a lot of times when he does stand in the pocket and he doesn't get rid of the ball within 2 to 3 seconds, it gets batted down, or he has to run anyway or take a sack, because it's hard for him to see. And if he has to go through his progressions, that's why a lot of times we'll see him miss somebody wide open, because that's not his thing. You know, Baker is not your Peyton Mannings and your Tom Brady's, and that's all right. We don't need him to be that. We need him to be to his best, and his best is throwing on the run. He is very accurate on throwing passes on the run, and this is why I think Trey Palmer would be such a great asset in the crossing route, because now you have him a linebacker, if he goes through the middle of the field, a linebacker, I guarantee you, cannot keep up with him, and a nickel might not be able to. And also, if Baker runs, he'll throw it. We want to give it to Palmer when he's in stride. I think the issue is they're trying to do certain things where they're making Palmer a possession type receiver. No, our best two possession receivers are, of course, Evans and Godwin. I think overall, Godwin is the best when it comes to that. But you need to. That's what they're not doing. They're just all over the place with this offense because they're so busy. They're fixated on making this run happen when that's not going to happen. I do think that Canales needs to be fully aware that if you use this pass game, you can't set up the run because if you pass so much and it's effective, which I think it is, because like I said, this Baker is a rhythm quarterback. We need to keep him in rhythm a few plays to get going. But if it's successful, now the defense has to honor the pass, so they can't load the box. And with that, you can call Canals can call HB draws, which I think Rachaad White does very, very well with HB draws because he can utilize his speed. He likes to maneuver and look at a good hole. And I think when he picks it, that's when good things happen. So I want to show you certain plays that I have designed, and if you want, you can check that out on my podcast. It's about Buck and Time. I posted it on Friday about what I would do if I was Canales with the offense to get the passing game going to make it stronger. So I'm going to show you that. Give me one moment, Buck fans. I want you all to take a look at this play. Now, I know it's a little hard to see on the right side, but in this play, I would have Evans do a straight go route because one, Evans is nobody can do what he does in that. He's a very jump ball type of receiver. He is good at he's gonna command double coverage, and that's what I want a lot of people to understand. With him, by him doing that, he could take that safety away, especially if now we could say this. What if in a scenario, what if Evans just flat out beats the corner? Now Baker can throw to him while he's in the pocket and at least get 15 yards minimum. But let's say he doesn't, let's say that he's running and the corner sticks with him, but at the same time, the safety is over the top to help. This is where I think Palmer would be very effective. I would want him to do a deep crossing route because with his speed, he can take advantage of the middle of that field. And I say again, if the safety bites and runs to the side of Evans, that's a touchdown, guys. That is more than likely a touchdown if the other safety isn't paying attention, because with Trey Palmer's speed, he can just kill right up the middle of the field or at least get a big yard gainage. Now, Godwin, in my opinion, would be the safety net because he's really good at intermediate route running. And I personally believe that that's what this Bucs offense needs. They need to have one guy who is the safety. I know that's called the check down, but I want Godwin to be that for sure guy because he can catch in traffic. He knows how to hold onto the ball very well, and his route running in the middle is very effective. So that is why I would want Godwin to be in that slot position. And for Jarrett, I want him to do a comeback play because just in case, let's say if all those other players can't get separation or anything, they're not going to be focusing on Jarrett that much. So if he runs and then comes back, at least Baker, if he needs to improvise and run out of the pocket, there is going to be a receiver that he can see. And if Jarrett pays attention, he can come back to the ball. So this is my whole reason for this play, why I think it would be effective. It's one of those plays where if he knows the first option, which I think he will, if I was Canales, I would look if the safety is not going to give Evans any help, give the corner help, then I would go for it. I would throw a jump ball to Evans because more than likely he's going to get it. Then my second option would be Palmer. Now, if they're blitzing, I'm going to go to Godwin. So if the linebacking core, if one of the linebackers are blitzing, I'm going with Godwin because Godwin is going to be the sure thing. So of course, it all depends on what coverage. I always say if they play zone in this, we're killing them. We're gonna destroy them because they're not going to be able to hang with Palmer's speed. Palmer, if they play zone, I'm looking at Evans or Palmer. If they do man, I'm going to Godwin or Evans. So that is why I think this play would work because the big advantage is, of course, on offense, the defense is not going to know what route we're going to run, and we can always switch it up. That's why I love it. If I see that the safety is coming down, I might switch it to where Palmer would then would run the route that Godwin would run, and then Godwin can run the route that Palmer would run because Godwin can also run a deep route as well. So that is why I think this play would be very, very effective. Now let me go to the next play that I think that is going to be good too in the shotgun is the trips. Now with this one, I said this in my podcast, the number one target to me at this point would be Otten. I think Otten is a very capable tight end in the passing game, especially in the middle. Go back to the Buffalo game. If they would have thrown to Otten in the middle and used him the right way, the Bucs would have walked away with a victory. The same in the Atlanta Falcons game. Otten should always, for the most part, I'd say 70% of the time be used in the middle of the field because he's better at that. He has the size and the speed to where the speed he has, he can get past the linebacker, and the size of a nickel corner is not going to be able to handle him. And I have Evans in the slot. Yes, I would like to have Evans moved around so much because I go back to it. Someone on Twitter X put up a game where Evans was killing under the Winston era, and the reason was because Winston would target Evans so much. And that's what they need to do. You target Evans a lot, that will open up opportunities for everyone else. Everyone can eat. So that's why I would, in this situation, I'd put Evans in the slot because if a nickel is on him, then I honestly think they're immediately going to give him help with the safety. And with that being said, if the safety bites on that, Palmer is going to do a deep out route. And if Baker throws it the right way, man, he could possibly get a touchdown. And when it comes to Godwin, another a comeback kind of play because again, I want him to be the safety net. And a lot of people ask me, well, what is Rachaad White going to be doing? Rachaad White is going to be a blocker. And this is why I say that, because if he blocks, that he could pick up that extra blitz. Or if I want to get really fancy with it, I could do this. I could have Rachaad White make the block and then go out for a pass. That would really work. But in this instant, I'm just making the plays just in case if they want Baker to make these passes in the pocket, he needs to already know who his first option is. And I would say on this, 90% of the time, the first option should always be Otten because he's just that effective, depending on the coverage. Especially if they blitz, Otten would be perfect here. So that is why I do think that in this instance, this shotgun trips tight end play would work. Otten and Evans are going to be the key. And I would show these plays when Slick comes on sometime in our on the aftermath on 102.9 Game Broad Street South Radio. I would love his insight on how he would stop this type of coverage, because if you guys don't know, Slick is the man when it comes to that. He's a defensive minded guy, and I like to always go back and forth with him. But at the end of the day, both of us are very aware that it depends on the personnel. If you don't have the right personnel, none of our schemes are going to work. But these are schemes that I just think that can be effective, especially today if playing the Tennessee Titans. I have one more play, and I'll break that down. And that is going to be the play action. And this is self-explanatory. Again, I will want Evans in the slot. He breaks out, and Palmer is doing the shallow crossing route with his speed. He can be very effective. Rashad White out of the backfield catching it. He's a good receiving guy. Godwin, the intermediate man. And for Jarrett, again, I want to see. I hear he has good. I've seen that he has some speed. So at this point, you just want to mix it up and make a defense confused, because we can be very predictable on offense, and that is why our offense is not as successful as it should be, due to the fact that everybody already knows what we're going to do. These are the plays that I really think. Now, my first option here, in my opinion, would be between Palmer and White. It depends again, it all depends on the coverage. If they're going to play man, I'm going to go with Palmer. If they're going to do a zone coverage, the only reason I'd say I'd go to Evans is due to the fact if he beats his man really bad. But it's always about the personnel. But again, this is why I do think that these type of plays could work. Again, the offense just has to be creative. Canales has got to be creative, because now this offense, it's like week 10 now. There is no excuse for us to be cluttering and sputtering like we are. I'm not saying we're going to be flawless, but this is the time now. And I said this. I had talked to Slick on the Aftermath about this. I said I do not expect this offense to get in full swing until week 10 or 11. And so far, I've been on track with that. Hopefully that they can get this to keep the same offensive power going as they did last game, but this time they come away with the win and the defense does their part. Now, this is a game where it could go either way. Now, the Bucs on paper, they still should win because they are the better team this time. Now, Rick Hughes from the Bucs Live did say last week the Bucs mirror the Texans, and he had a very good point. Now, this week, though, it's no excuse. You should already be aware that your first order of business, of course, Bowles does this, but it is to take away the run. You have to load the box. You have a rookie quarterback. So the key word today is pressure. Pressure, pressure, pressure. That is something that Bowles has to do early. I'm not saying all game, but mix it up. I would say focus on making Will Leverett rattle his cage, make him uncomfortable, take away the run game to where you have to make him beat you. We don't want to see another game where he like CJ Sprout torches or how Will did the Falcons. So that means Bowles today, this ain't it. You understand what this is? This ain't it, brother. This ain't it, my man. None of this today, sir. None of this. You cannot have this. I want you to understand. You only break that out when it's necessary. You only break that out when it's 3rd and 20. 3rd and 20, that's it. That's it. Because the way that our players can be sometime in that coverage, hell, I wouldn't even want us to do that kind of cushion coverage. Anything less than that, even if it's 3rd and 16, I'm going to go, I need you to play a little closer, because we knowing us, we're that team that gives that kind of those big plays on 3rd and 13 or 3rd and 14. We give it up because we still have way too much cushion. So Bowles, unless it's 3rd and 20 or 3rd and 20, 3rd and 25, I don't want to see cushion coverage. We need to have intermediate kind of coverage where they're not playing so far off. The most they should be playing off early, in my opinion, is maybe 5 yards. That's it. I still think you should load the box, because if you load the box and you play man and you jam with your corners, the most important thing is football one-on-one for people out there thinking that jamming is all about completely shutting down and dominating the receiver. That is not what it's about. The most important thing that jamming does is disrupt the timing between the quarterback and his receiver, and you're going to make that quarterback have to look at another option. And if your pass rush can be average, then more than likely you'll get to the quarterback and get a sack, or better yet, he might throw it into another coverage because he's panicking, and that's where turnovers can happen. This Bucs team, this defense does not have an elite pass rusher. We already know that. Shaq Barrett is solid, but not elite. His better days might be behind him, but he's still a champion. JTS has yet to figure it out. So I would give Yaya more time, more reps, because I think Yaya has a lot more promise than JTS. JTS, I think at best is a good role player. So I think he actually might do better if he's a second string, because he won't have so much pressure on him, and he could be well rested, and it could be a mix. It could be such a mix because Yaya's power and strength, and JTS can use his speed. That's just how I think. But the reason why, again, I keep saying if they do more man and jam, I do think our front seven will be able to get more sacks, because Vita Vea is going to command double coverage, double blocking, and Cansey is looking really solid at this point. I'm very impressed. I do think Cansey we'll see him make a full stride within the next. I don't see him becoming very dominating until the end of the season, and that just depends on where we are. If the Bucs are in playoff contention, I say, then I think Cansey in the playoffs could do something, but I'm getting well ahead of myself. We just need to win today, and that's the most important thing. But that's why I think the zone and cushion coverage doesn't help this pass rush, because we aren't elite. So help them out by making it difficult for these receivers to get separation. And Bowles, you cannot be scared. At this point, we're past we're past. Well, if we play a man, I don't want them to get beat deep. They're getting beat anyway, regardless. So why not put them in the best position with their abilities? Carlton Davis, did he have a bad game last week? He sure did, but I still trust him to do more man coverage than zone. For Dean has been on my bad list because he hasn't done much but just play hurt. I don't know what the issue is, but he has to step up too. I think he's just overthinking things so much. I want him to play more man, because he also has the speed to recover better than Carlton. Remember, Jamel Dean runs like a 4.3. Carlton Davis runs like a 4.45, I think. As a matter of fact, let me look that up right now. Give me a second. Okay, Carlton Davis runs a 4.44. Okay, that's solid, but as you can see, he's still better at being a man coverage type of corner. And Jamel Dean ran a 4.3. So with that being said, I think for the most part, I would put Dean on receivers with more speed. And if you want to use him in zone, I don't mind it for that, because he has the speed to recover. But load that box. Antoine Winfield is having a all-pro season so far. He's arguably the best person on this defense so far between him and Levante. Antoine Winfield could be a major weapon in the box, because he doesn't always have to blitz. He could do a fake blitz and pick it off. Now, when it comes to Devin White, if he wants to be a pass rusher, give him the opportunity. Again, Bowles, you have to make something happen. You can't continue to play the same way you have, because it's not getting you anywhere. Now, I know people are going to bat for you and say you're working with what you can, but at the end of the day, that's no excuse, because you still knew what these guys can do. And I don't know why you you constantly do the same thing. And shout out to Jenna Lane for basically saying what I've been saying for a long time about cushion coverage. Now I want to read this. This is from Jenna Lane, and this was from Joe Bucs fan page, because they put this out here. This is what Jenna said, because she dug up some very telling statistics. In zone coverage, they have surrendered 10 touchdowns on 207 dropbacks this year, more than any other team in the league. In man coverage, they've given up 3 touchdowns on 123 dropbacks, tied for the best mark in the league. The Bucs defense has allowed just a 40.7 completion percentage when both outside corners are in press coverage this year, 3rd best in NFL. They haven't given up a touchdown in that category. When neither is impressing, that number jumps to 73.3%, 27th in the league, and 9 touchdowns, 28th in the league. So at this point, the numbers are not lying, because the numbers reflect the abilities of these players. When your numbers reflect the ability of your players, that's damn near 100%. So there are facts in this, Bowles, that you need to be more aggressive. There are facts that back up what I've been saying for a very long time, that your defense is better by being aggressive and playing man and jamming. Because, again, you don't have that luxury of having a prime Richard Sherman or Darrelle Revis. You don't have that. You gotta utilize what you do, what you have best. And if the scheme is too complex, simplify it. You don't have to always be exotic with blitzes. If anything, you're making it could be the issue, because they're not getting there in time and the quarterback can see it. How about it's just good old fashioned, my man got to beat your man. And if my man does get beat, oh well. Now prove me wrong. Prove me wrong, Bowles. I hope it's not that I'm frustrated because you're doing the same thing over and over and expecting different results, which is, as we know, is the definition of insanity. So I need you, Bowles, to step up, because the defense looked really, really bad. You let a rookie get a new record on you: 470 yards and 5 touchdowns, no interceptions. That's unacceptable. That's a fireable offense, because at that point I wanted you gone. And a lot of people were saying, well, AJ, what is what is the point of this, and who else are they going to look at? At that point, it's coach hunting. And let's give a shout out to Bucs, Rays, and Bolts. How you doing today, man? How do I feel about the game today? I can tell you this. It's at this point, I'm not going to be as emotionally invested. That's because that's how discontent and disgusted I have been. But I'm just going to be in an observe and report mode. So with that being said, I'm just going to look at things. I do think that this team, I feel like if the offense if they make average plays, basically today, the Bucs don't have to be great. The Bucs can be average and they walk away with the win today. That's how I feel. And you might be right. I'll say this. If the Bucs get blown out, let's say if the Bucs offense only musters 10 points and the defense gives up anything over 30 points, yes, it would get really, really bad. But as we know, the Glazers have never fired a coach mid-season. It just doesn't happen. And I don't think they're breaking that. But yeah, he loses today, you could guarantee almost that he more than likely knows that his days are numbered. But because the division is so bad, that is the only thing that's given him grace. The NFC South is not that good, as we know. Let's be real. It's trash. And that's, if anything, this is why Bowles shouldn't be giving up so soon. You have a chance. It's not like no team is undefeated here. The Panthers showed you that they're a bad team. The Falcons showed you that they're not ready. The Saints, we know because we beat them. So that's what I'm saying. And Christopher Cole, it's time to start stacking up wins. You are right. We should, because due to the fact that we're only a game and a half out of the race to be back to being number one, we have a shot. You win today. Bucks fans. Bucks, if they can win today, you have some hope. And right now, our destiny isn't in our hands, but we know that the NFC South teams again aren't that good. So let's say this: the Bucks win today, and everybody else loses. Now you're back in business. You're back in business. You'd be half a game out. You'd be half a game of being in first place. And it's not like it ain't possible. That could go our way, Buck fans. That's what we're saying. It could go our way, but they have to really want to play to win. And I understand this. Bucks Ray Bolts, I'm with you. At first last week, I wanted to just call it a day and just go, you know what? Let me start looking for draft players and draft picks. But that's why I have a motto, and I always say it's better to reflect and not react. We have to look at things from another perspective, and that's why I said when I went back and realized, oh wow, the Bucks. Luckily, because in their division, we still have a shot. That's the only reason why I'm not ready to pull the plug just yet. And you think Bowles is safe either way? That's debatable. I'll say this. Here's another scenario that can happen. What if the Bucks, especially on offense, start doing more of the things that I said? And this offense by the end of the season is just, let's say overall the Bucks somehow get their offense to be to like rank number 11th or 12th. And Canales and this offense is the sole reason why they've been winning, and they get to the playoffs. And let's say the Bucks defense they're not even playing above average anymore. They become average to below average. Let's say if their defense ranks 16th or 17th, I'm not saying that Canales would automatically get the job, but now, well, I'll say this. If Canales finds a way to get this Bucks offense in the top 10, yeah, and Bowles is out of the top 15 ranked defensively, yeah, never mind. That could be Bowles is gone and Canales would get the job just because Bowles is responsible. He's a defensive-minded guy, and that is his department. So that would not be good for him. And Russ Weeks, you are absolutely correct. We have 6 players on the defense from the Super Bowl. No excuses. I agree with you. Now, for all you Buck fans that don't know, the people from that team, that Super Bowl winning team, is Levante David, Devin White, Vita Vea, Antoine Winfield, Carlton Davis, Jamel Dean. There's more, Russ. People forget Will Golston is still there. So that's 7. That's 7 of them right there. So, yeah, they have 7 players on the roster that knows what it's like to be a Super Bowl champion. They're just going to have to find a way to get that fire back. And it needs someone. They need to have someone to hold them accountable. Yep. I miss the days of Arians where he was not just all about talk either, but he had this. I'm going to be good. This team will be good with or without you. We're not going to be sitting here and going through this all day holding your hand like a child. And that is what this team needs. Bowles has got to find a way to get his players to realize that this is serious. And that's why I would love to talk to these players. It's a blessing to be in this league. And when you take advantage of it, that's when I get pissed. As a football fan and someone who loves the game of football, and I can assure you football fans don't like that because their money is the reason why you can have the lifestyle that you have. Your money is the reason why they can take care of their families better than you can take care of your own. So you should always acknowledge and respect that, and that it can simply be taken away like that, not just by injuries, but piss poor play or being lazy. remember, if these guys start playing like shit, I don't think players realize when the new people come in, they're going to be looking at what you did on that field. And if they see any loafing, if they see any like piss poor behavior in the locker room about yourself, that means you're expendable and it's time to go. And there are so many other people out there that would love to have the position that you have. So for the players, you better be playing to the best of your ability. So if there's a new regime that does come in, they can say, well, nah, these guys were good. They were just poorly coached. And Bucs players for costing, I hope not. I hope that they're just frustrated, because I have a feeling that some of these guys are very frustrated. And of course, they're always going to try to talk in a good light about their coach because they're professional players. But I would love to know what one of them, if I really wish I could, if I could get like anonymous messages from the players to be like, hey, do you really like what the coach is doing? And one of them say, hell nah, this is garbage. Because I think Bowles is the type of guy where if you try to tell him that, you might as well pack your bags. And maybe the Bucs are tanking now. I wouldn't go that far just yet. We'll see. We'll see, because that's another thing for people with the quarterback situation. What's up? What position do you think taking a draft is to get top 10 picks? I think we are 8 right now. Linebacker, DT. No, if they do that, they're going to go for a quarterback, because apparently everybody is in love with all the quarterback depth in this draft. So they definitely would get a quarterback. But I don't think that's, unless you have the for sure guy that that's going to definitely come out and make an immediate impact, you're wasting your time, because our Evans is getting older. He might not even be here. What if he leaves? Now Godwin and Palmer, thankfully, those guys are good, but you don't want to mess up that receiving nuclear core. Baker is not the problem. And when it comes to the draft, you're guessing. You're still guessing. You don't know if these quarterbacks are going to pan out. People were just last month, we're speaking glories in the gospel of Caleb Williams. And then when he played good teams, look what happened. The draft is not always, especially when it comes to quarterback play. If anything, in my opinion, the Bucs need another edge rusher. They need a real pass rusher, especially someone who's going to be Shaq Barrett's successor, because Shaq is getting up there in age. Levante, I hope he can come back 1 year. If the Bucs can get right, let's say if the Bucs can get the 10 wins, they get in the playoffs and they make a little noise, they win one round, then they're out the next, I think Levante would come back. I want to go back to the quarterback situation. A lot of people think that Baker is the problem. He is not the problem. I told you, Kyle Trask, we don't know. We just don't know. But this is all going to be on Canales. It's all going to be on what Canales does, because if Canales continues to coach this way, Bowles and Canales won't be back, because they're going to say, okay, you're squandering things. And if I am the Glazers right now, and I think they're doing this, they're probably in coach searching mode already. You have to be. Wait a minute. How do we replace David or possibly White? I think White, if he doesn't, at this point, White, the way that he's been playing, unless he plays at a miraculous level of eliteness, I'm only getting him a contract where he'll get between 8 to 10 million a year. Take it or leave it, because we have too many other guys that are important. Evans is going to be over you. Winfield is over you. Wirfs, those 3 right there. Levante, David, hell, those 4 right there are far more important than Devin White. So if Devin White can't take that, man, I wish you well. Thank you for your service, but we got to move on. And really think getting 10 wins left on the schedule, it's a possibility. You never know. This is what's beautiful about the NFL. You don't know. People, just like, again, last month, back in early October, the 49ers was the team to fear. And look at how they have dropped off, because Purdy has been figured out. Look at the Bengals. They weren't Bengals. They were kittens. They were cubs. And now all of a sudden they're on this tear. So you never know. If the Bucs if the Bucs on offense play average and the defense can be dominant, they can. If we win this week, who says that we can't go into San Francisco and pull a major upset? Who says that we won't? Remember, if Purdy again is only playing to the best of his abilities and the 49ers are wounded, if Debo is not back, that could be something an advantage for the Bucs. So it's not so far-fetched, but this all goes on to coaching. And luckily, we have to stay healthy. Um, and Russ says, I think we still can win the division. We can get even against the Falcons, and the Titans are beatable again. We should be able to beat the Panthers twice. I'm with you, Russ. So let's say if that happens, 2 wins right there against the Panthers. Let's just say Bucs are 5-5 right there. The Bucs, let's say the Bucs beat the Titans today. Let's say the Bucs beat them, and then they lose against the Niners. Now you're at 6-6. Then I think we can beat the Saints again. I think we'll beat the Jaguars. So this Bucs team can win 10 games. I said before. Now I said the Bucs this year. I said this early. The Bucs could win between 10 to 12, and I'm still sticking with that. Despite I know it sounds crazy for me saying that, but this team still has what it takes. It's just going to be the Bucs are going to go as far as the coaches go, which means if the coaches start getting creative, getting more aggressive, taking better risk and utilizing their players' strengths and not just their scheme. So basically the coaching staff needs to get their ego out of the way. If they can get their ego out of the way, then this Bucs team will be successful. Yep, the Bucs season starts today. You're right, Bucs Ray Bolts. You are absolutely correct. It does start today. You lose this game, now it's gonna it falls back into okay, guys. Let's start playing for the draft, or people are just gonna be playing for their jobs. Let's go. I know the taints are the same. The ain'ts, whatever you want to call it. Yeah. So this is gonna be an important game today, a very important game. You play if the Bucs do it right, you can blow this team out. And I know that's far-fetched the way that this offense has been playing this team as a whole. But let's say if the Bucs start on defense, and not only did we get a 3 and out, but we get a 3 and out, and we're close to our end zone. Let's say we're at their 40, and the Bucs offense can score a touchdown. Now that puts pressure on Will, and he does something stupid. He holds on the ball too long, and Shaq Barrett strips him, and the Bucs are able to get the ball back, and we're at their 20. And let's say we don't score a touchdown, but we get 10 points. Now that's a big swing because now it's a 2-possession game and it's early. And if we continue to play aggressive, now they can't run the ball like they want to. And if we get another 3 and out, and the Bucs can score again 17-0. Let's say by the end of the first quarter is 17-0. Now you will almost successfully have made this team completely one-dimensional, because we know if Derrick Henry can't get going, it's over. But that's just me. Hold on, let's see. Yes, Minnesota beat the Niners and some other average teams. I forget the other one. Yeah, you're right. Again, but their coaches were taking more risk and they were getting more creative because they were getting desperate because they didn't want to, their jobs is on the line. And that's what I think Bowles should understand. Unless he knows something that we don't, unless the Glazers said, we got you for another season, he should be coaching as if like his career and reputation is dependent on it. So we should be able to. But let's say the Bucs do that and the Bucs can blow this team out. That would give you so much more confidence going into San Francisco next week, because that is going to be another big challenge. So these next 2 games can define the Bucs season. You come away with this game, you get to 4-5. Cool. You lose against the 49ers, 4-6. That ain't too bad, actually, because at that point, then your next few games, you can make a difference and you can get the 6-6. It's not out of the question, guys. Not out of the question at all. So I'm hoping that's what the Buccaneers can do. I'm really hoping that they can get it together to where they make things happen for themselves and they come out of this funk, because we want this. Nobody wants to see this team to continue to lose. This spiral has got to stop. So Bowles and Canales, it is up to you. What are you going to do? Are you going to continue to rely on schemes, or are you going to do what I mentioned before and utilize the players to the best of their abilities? I want to show y'all again these plays that they could use that can make something happen, and give me your opinions on this, Buck fans. If I'm out of my mind, you can say that. That's your opinion. I won't be offended. First thing, again, let's go back to it. Now look at that. Now let's go to the shotgun trips. Otten would be my guy. This one, Rachaad White or Palmer. But again, it always goes to certain coverages. But yeah, yeah. And you said we just aren't getting pressure like we used to with the front D line in the last few years. JCS, he could be a bust. Those two could be a bust, Rush. You could be onto something. But this is why I think if they play more man and jam, that can disrupt the timing and they'll be just fine. And then I think at this point, our front seven is pass rush wise is average. And how can you help an average front seven? Your corners are going to have to be better. That's what made the Legion of Boom so lethal. Richard Sherman and Browner and Chancellor and Earl Thomas were so devastating. People forget that Michael Bennett was on that team, that he came from us and he was doing the damn thing. Averill was out here doing this thing. So their secondary helped their front line. Can call put up or shut up pretty much. Yeah, pretty much. Yeah. Pretty much, y'all. This is what the Bucs need to get. They need to get this going today, and they can get this win. Now, with all that being said, I do think that the Bucs can walk out with the win today. If I had to predict the score, because I do think I feel like the offense will probably be a little more creative today, just because Canales knows, he sees now. I think he'll learn a few things from the Texans game. Oh, wow, this offense can do this if I do that. I could see the Bucs putting up at least 24 points. I could see that, 24. And I do think that the defense will go back. I think they just had a really piss poor week last week, so I don't expect them to do that back-to-back weeks. So I think they'll be able to, and I do think that maybe that Bowles will get a little more aggressive as he should. And because we know if you stop Derrick Henry from running, you can make them one-dimensional, and Will might not be ready. I think that Bowles will disguise a certain coverage that will confuse him, because this guy ain't CJ Sprout, and it can make a big difference. And we walk out of this game with the win 24-10. So that is what I think. And do you know when we wear all the pewter uniforms, what happened to our red jerseys? I don't know, man. Russ, I'm waiting for it too. At this point, I don't even care. I just want them to win. I just want to see them walk off the field with a win. That's all I care about. I just want to see them win, because they've been looking pitiful for the past month, and I'm tired of this. This is me. Damn near, this is me every time when someone asks me what happened to, they'd be like, AJ, tell me about the Bucs today. AJ, tell me about the offense in Canales. I'm tired of that. I want the Bucs to come back and win the game and do the damn thing. And with that being said, guys, that is it for today. I'm going to get myself ready for this game, get myself, like I said, in observe and report mode. I'm going to have my pen. I'm going to have my pen and my paper so I can start writing things down. And thank you all for joining the Bucs pregame report show. Again, you can always find us on the Aftermath on 102.9 Game Broad Street South Radio with my co-host Slick, aka the British guy who's always fly and on standby. Also, check out Bucs Live on Tuesdays with Rick Hughes and his buddy David. And as always, go Bucs. And we want to see this type of ceremony after the game.
Hey, one word describes this game. Yeah!